Hi, I'm Danielle from 90 Day Fiancé, and please listen to Bring Me Your Torch.
Welcome to another episode of Bring Me Your Torch. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Elaine.
And we have a very special guest on the show. It's Fernando from 90 Day Fiancé. He married his wife, Carolina, in the recent season 3 finale. Welcome to the show, Fernando. It's great to have you on.
It's nice to be on, and I've listened to your podcast, so I've enjoyed some of the commentaries about 90 Day Fiancé, so I'm glad to be on.
Fantastic. Well, we saw what happened to a lot of the cast members last season. There was a lot of internet hate, and TLC had some creative editing that caused a lot of problems. So I think my number one question to you is, what the hell were you thinking going on the show seeing that?
Like about editing?
Well, just you saw how
some
people didn't have the best reactions to how they were treated in the last season, and I don't know if you were worried about that going into this season.
A little. When you're going through the process, if you're bright enough, you kind of can see what they're trying to get at. What I wasn't aware is that they film so much. I mean, you're filming, at least in our case, you're filming about 3 to 6 days long, at the very least. And 8-hour days, 10-hour days, they're asking you a lot of questions in different ways, or the same questions in different ways over multiple days.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to catch you saying something that maybe is out of context, or maybe it was not exactly what you wanted to say, or at least it's a little skewed because the viewer doesn't get to hear the prompt or the question or the interjection.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I got burned a little bit when they said that I said Colombia's poor, but they didn't hear that they were asking me, like, oh, could you describe your neighborhood? So I live in a very affluent neighborhood in a closed resort community, and they were asking about a specific neighborhood in Medellin. So it's kind of like if they ask you, have you ever been to Zurich? Oh yeah, I've skied in Zurich. And then they go, oh, have you been to Rwanda? Well, Rwanda's a war-torn, country. And then they just come out and they go, oh, he said, Africa's war-torn and a disaster. So
wow.
if you don't hear the question, how is it that you're gonna think badly of the answer?
And it's funny you mentioned Medellin because it's pure American ignorance. I'm sure you can understand that when I think of Medellin, I think of like Pablo Escobar running around giving people Colombian neckties and things like that. But it's really not what it's like anymore, right? And I've traveled a lot in Latin America. I lived some time in Buenos Aires. I'm not going to compare Buenos Aires with Medellin because Argentina is very different than Colombia. But I've traveled to Latin America since I was 3 years old. And I know, except for Bolivia and Chile, I know the rest of Latin America. I've been to the most major cities in South America. So I guess I have a different perspective about South American countries than most Americans do. I'm not saying, say, a city like Medellin is not completely void of crime and murder.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's still like around 30 murders per 100,000 residents. So it's still not the safest place.
You can get murdered in New York City if you go to the wrong place.
Washington, D.C., where we're from.
And look, I think sometimes it's just a random act of violence. And if you really look into some of these cities like Colombia, it's kind of like, let's say, Chicago, where it's mostly on Friday nights and in a certain neighborhood. So there might be 20 murders on Friday night, but it's between 9 o'clock at night and 2 in the morning, and it's in the wrong part of town. So there's parts of listen. I've been traveling to Colombia for the last 7 years, and I've never had an incident, never had a problem. Carolina has almost been murdered in Colombia, but I've never had an issue. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad she wasn't though.
Yeah, it was actually during the time that we started dating. In fact, it made the national news because she was mugged. Somebody steal her scooter, and she was able to catch up to one of their assailants and actually beat up the assailant. And that made the national news. There's an actual video of it that's on YouTube.
just
I know what I'm doing the second we're done here.
you can just message me and I'll email it to you or something. Maybe we can make it a viral video.
Oh yeah, we'll post it for sure.
And we've heard the abridged version, the Cliff Notes version of how you guys met. That you were on dates
Mm-hmm.
with other people and you met. Can you go into that a little more and kind of explain how that happened?
Man, this is gonna make me sound bad. So what happened was I used to export consumer electronics to Brazil and Argentina and Venezuela. My business had died down a little bit, and I was looking for new things to do and new markets. And I had an estranged Colombian girlfriend who was actually an American Colombian. So she was like born in the United States, and but she was of Colombian descent. And she had family down there. And I started going to Colombia, I want to say this was like back in 2010, 2011. And through that Colombian ex-girlfriend, I was in Colombia, and I meet the next Colombian girlfriend, who was the one before Carolina, Joanna, and a nurse. And actually, we got really serious. We started dating, and it got to just the point that we talked about marriage. That what happened was she wasn't interested at all in coming to the United States. So her idea of a continued relationship was for me either to move to Colombia or to spend more time in Colombia and less time in the States. So we, when one night in the summer of 2012, we were on a date. We were already beginning to not separate, but just talk about. We were having differences about what our next steps were. I saw Carolina from far away, like I would say like 100 feet away, and she stood out because she was very tall. She's almost 6 feet tall, and you don't see that very often in Colombia. So she kind of towered above the other girls that usually run around like 5'5", 5'7". So we made eye contact, and I don't know how I guess it's not completely uncommon in Colombia, but we kind of gestured like we're going to sneak away, and we snuck away towards the bathroom area. And at that time, I had a BlackBerry. We exchanged BlackBerry pins, and that was it. In fact, I think that first time we really didn't give each other our name. We just kind of like knew that we were with somebody else, and I think it was like a moment of naughtiness. We were thinking maybe we hook up or something, or maybe we talk to each other later, but nothing happened. So for 2 months, we didn't really message each other, and we didn't talk until I think she said she was bored one night and decided to message me, and that's how it started. And by the time she wrote to me, I was no longer with Joanna, and Carolina was no longer with her boyfriend at the time, who was a professional soccer player.
Oh, perfect. I guess it all worked out.
Yeah, a current active professional soccer player. So, yeah.
Wow.
I was done with Joanna, and she was done with her ex-boyfriend.
I am a strong believer that everything is meant to be, and everything happens for a reason.
That's one of us.
You know, I wasn't one to believe in that. I didn't believe in like soulmates or that, there was fate. Although now, hindsight, I really think that my last girlfriend prepared me for Carolina. And I do feel like some of these steps that I've taken in the past few years kind of brought me to her.
Yeah.
What the show did portray, and that is true, I have not been the marrying kind. I've had issues with commitment. Never thought I'd see myself married. I just never been a big supporter of marriage. So, but apparently some of the things that have happened in the past few years kind of got me ready for it, or at least more open to it.
Well, that's awesome. And not to kill our warm and fuzzies right now, but I don't think it's out of line to say that you were kind of given the cheaters edit this season. Did you know that was coming, or is that just TLC editing things to cause more drama?
I think what's unfair is that I first of all, I owned up to it. But what people don't know is that what the infidelity they're talking about was that it happened with my first wife, my lovely first wife. but that was 15 years ago. So it's almost like it almost felt like I was talking about something that happened like last week. Like, hey, I was just married and I got divorced because I was cheating on my wife. And that wasn't the whole story. I mean, we were having issues. We were having a difference of, again, it's something that's a common theme with me. We were having differences of opinion about how we would continue our lives. At the time, I was fairly young, and I wanted to keep going to school, and she wanted to have a family. And she was happy with the house, the white picket fence, and the 2 kids, and at the time, I wasn't. So
But that's not a good soundbite for the show, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't say all that.
Yeah. So if I said that, didn't. So what came out was that I just accepted that I had, that I cheated on her. So
Yeah, and they made it sound like you're right.
That's
like,
what stayed. Yeah. That's what. No, and then it's a little bit unfair is that later on when I've been single or I've been dating, I haven't portrayed myself as a saint or as someone that I would like. For example, if I dated girls, I would tell them, "Hey, listen, I'm not a believer of marriage. I'm not taking relationships very seriously." So it's not like I was selling a bill of goods that was fake or false premises. I haven't been that kind of person.
But they can change you, so they all think.
Right. Well, and that's usually what happens. Sometimes when you're brutally honest at the beginning, people think, "Oh, he just says that, and that's great." But he's going to fall in love with me, and he's going to be different with me, and it's all going to be over. And then when it doesn't happen, and I've had issues that they make complaints, I'm like, well, I did say that this would happen because I don't take this stuff seriously. So,
well, your friends were also kind of rough on you, I think, a little bit.
First of all, I love those guys. I've known them since we were kids. We were in the Boy Scouts together. Yes, Fernando was a Boy Scout. I've known him since we were in elementary school. We were in the Boy Scouts together. We were in swim team together, water polo. So I know them really well. As we've gotten older, I've been one to rag on them about having children, about having a marriage, and I'm the type of friend that's like would make fun of them when they have to go back home from drinking. We'd go out for drinks and they have to be home by 11 or something.
That's my situation now, so I get it totally.
Yeah, so I've told them that marriage is archaic and that I just haven't been like that positive influence to married couples. I might have told one of them or two. I might have told them both. That I might have been supportive of divorce. So
that's not my situation. Don't my friends listening, by the way.
So and one of them did get divorced. One of them finally did listen to me and got divorced. So he's with a lovely girl now that you saw on the show. That was Glenn.
Oh yeah.
I think some people have said on social media he's really handsome. So
well, we'll tweet him out so they can contact him. And we also saw when Carolina found some of the underwear in your closet. Now, we assume that nothing in reality TV is actually real. So was that legit or was that planted?
The only thing that's not legit about that is that my answer is not legit. My answer in real life was that those belong to me. I said that they belonged to me and that I was wearing them, that I like wearing women's panties. That they had to do they had to do a pickup. And what they asked for, like on a later date, they asked for us to redo that shoot. And for me to change my answer so it would make myself look better. I think what happened was that as editing went on, they were first going to do maybe the difference in age and maybe that I was some overweight Casanova and that I was a cheater. And I think that they saw my family and they saw some of the comments I made. I think then the editing changed and they wanted to put me in a better light. So they made me redo the shot to say something that wouldn't make me look as a douche, I guess, or badly.
And I think we can see that because when I first read your initial bio, I'm like, oh, this guy's a douche. I don't like him. And then as we actually started watching the show, I go, you know what? I actually do like this guy.
Yeah.
It's not so bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, if you lead a conversation with, hey, I'm a cheater, and if you saw my ex-wife, I mean, She's beautiful. She's really gorgeous. I'm sure that if people saw pictures of my ex-wife, and some people have tweeted it out actually, and if they saw pictures of my wife, they'd probably say, "What idiot would cheat on this girl?" But so it probably wouldn't be a good start to a presentation of me, right? It wouldn't be a good intro.
Well, there's always more to the story, isn't there?
Yeah, those things are very black and white, and the world's more gray, and that's probably the problem.
Yeah, there's more to the story. And listen, actually, the day that I got caught was a horrible day. I mean, I laugh about it now, but just imagine. Actually, I had this Venezuelan Italian wife, and she was actually very open about relationships. So I remember she only had 2 rules for me about me and other women, and that was never bring them home, and never get caught in public. Like, don't let my sister or somebody I know see you with somebody.
Don't embarrass the family.
Right, don't embarrass the family. That was the 2 rules, and I was young and stupid.
I like those rules.
Yeah, I love them. Little did I know that those rules weren't common in most girls. Like, for some reason, I couldn't get white American girls to follow that.
I'm not sure that Elaine's fiance is going to like hearing that she likes those rules.
Yeah, so like I just thought, this is my common life. I'm in Miami. I'm going to meet more Venezuelans, and this is going to be perfect. But I broke the cardinal rule. We were at the time we'd fight a lot, and she would leave to like her aunt's house or a family member's house, and I had talked to this girl that I met at the like the dairy section of the supermarket, and on one of these fights that she went out to her aunt's house, she brings the girl over home, and I'm sorry, she goes. I'm speaking in third person now. It's my bad. So she goes out to her aunt's house in a fight, and I bring the girl over home. So I think on the second day, I go off to work. I worked at Bell South at the time, the phone company, and so the girl's in my house, and like afternoon, I get a call from home, and it's the girl I brought over, and she says, "Hey, there's somebody at the door," and I said, "It's impossible. There can't be anybody at the door." And I also lived in a closed community back then, and she said, "Oh, the woman says it's your wife." And I said, "Oh, please leave my house. Like, you could just sit and leave like out the balcony or something." And 5 minutes later, I get a call from my ex-wife. She's going nuts. She's going crazy. And I'm at work. I can't really do nothing. I can't really do anything because I can't get out of work. And I hear her clanking in the kitchen, and she says, "Oh, no worry, I'm gonna kill this girl." and so now I'm having this conversation at work, and I'm like, "Look, you really shouldn't kill this person. It's like the United States. This is Florida. They have the death penalty here. It's going to be horrible. It's going to end your life."
Death penalty.
Like, I'm an asshole, and like you should think about all the ramifications. Like, the police are going to get here. Don't do that. Don't do that. So I hear she goes, "Like, I don't give a shit about the police. I'm just going to kill her." Clonk. So now 10 minutes pass, and I don't hear a thing. I don't know anything about what's going on. 10 minutes later, I get a call. Now it's the girl that I brought over, and she's still in my house. And I'm like, "What are you doing in my house? Like, what are you doing still there?" She's like, "Oh, she told me to stay, and I was a little worried at first she was going to attack me, but now she's just really tearing up your place." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm sitting here in the guest bedroom, and she's destroying your apartment.
Oh my God.
She's cutting all the pictures. She's cut her hands, and she's putting blood on the walls and the sheets." Yeah. So you can imagine that was a bad ending to a marriage. So I probably, if I would have said that story, now that I sit down on your show, they probably would have thought even worse of me. So.
Jeez.
Well, moving from your ex-wife to another very important woman in your life, and I've been told the number one rule is you don't badmouth someone's mom. So I'm going to tread lightly here. That your mom definitely seemed like a handful on the show, and she didn't seem very open and friendly to Carolina. Is that her way of trying to protect you, or do you think she was just worried about how things were changing?
No, my mom is. She is what? She's now 66 years old, and No, 60. She's 65. She's 65. She's 65 years old. She's never had a filter, so I can't really blame the age. She's never had a filter, and she likes to be abrasive and opinionated, in your face. Like, she doesn't talk behind your back. She'll tell you straight out what she thinks, and she's a tough cookie. So, but I think even that, you have to remember that they're showing conversations where they last hours and hours, and they're asking her stuff. So sometimes I think the producers are trying to just force her to say something. And if you give my mom enough rope, she's going to hang herself. So she's going to say something.
That's one of the things they always say when you're watching like a show like Survivor. The tribal council goes on for hours, and Jeff Probst is constantly trying to get someone to say something confrontational or crazy. And after a while, you just kind of get beaten down after talking for so long.
Yeah, because sometimes if you're filming from like 2 o'clock until 6:30 in the afternoon, sometimes you start saying some damn thing because you're just tired of filming, and you're just tired that there's all these people in the house. People forget that when they show a scene, there's like 12 or 14 people hanging around us, and there's somebody constantly asking us questions and telling us stuff. And sometimes they don't see the mood of the room because they can cut pieces, things where it's not editing, but it changes the mood of the room. So, for example, he said the drug trafficking joke and the cocaine joke that everybody was laughing. But I'm sure they edited that part out. And Carolina was laughing. Carolina made some jokes about cocaine too. I will say this: Carolina and I are both people that really we're not sensitive. We're not in a politically correct home. We like making jokes that might be insensitive, might
offend people.
Of others. Yeah, might offend people. So she took it well. What they don't know also that Carolina spoke to my mom for about a year over the phone every week or Skype. Because remember, I was living in Colombia, or I don't know if I told you this, that I was living in Colombia for a year with Carolina. And during that time, I would have periodic calls with home, and Carolina would get on the line and talk to my mom. Not my dad, because my dad's deaf on the phone, but she talked to my dad. My mom all the time.
I don't think they mentioned that on the show, that you were down there for a good year.
Yeah, we had an apartment, which actually we still do. I'm just not living in it. We had an apartment in Medellin, and we spent a little over a year together in that apartment. And then later on, I decided to go through the K-1 visa process.
Oh, awesome. Oh, Jesse, do you want to go down and stay at the apartment in Medellin?
Yeah, I'll be right there. I'll book a flight.
Are you married? Are you married, or do you have a girlfriend?
I'm looking. I've dated a girl from Brazil, so why not Colombia?
Brazil, it's a different culture. Where was she from?
I know.
Where was she from? Where was she from in Brazil?
Well, when I was talking to Cassia from season 2, I was saying Recife, but she seems to think I wasn't pronouncing it correctly. But she was an au pair up here several years ago, and the problem was, though, I wasn't looking to get married at all. Yeah. And I think she was like, well, let's get serious, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. And so
yeah, because Latin American girls if things are going well and they really like you, it's going to get serious right away. So
yeah, we're dating for I think 3 months, and she goes, "Where do you see the future?" And I'm like 25. I don't know what you're talking about. Calm down.
Right. You see, at 25, I would have taken that same position. It's now at let's see. When I started with Carolina, I was 36. So I think that she started getting serious when I was 37. So at 37, I did kind of think, well, maybe this is the time that I finally do remarry and get serious. But no, I was going to say, I was going to ask you which part of the country, because there's Brazil's so big that there's different kind of cultures and lifestyle depending on what part of the Brazil you're talking about.
Well, I'll tell the story, by the way, if you don't mind me telling a story. I don't think I've ever told it on here, but it seems to fit in here. The point where this relationship actually ended was everything we did. She was like, in Brazil, it's like this, like kind of saying, in Brazil, it's better. In Brazil, we did this. I bought her grapes. In Brazil, grapes cost this. And finally, I was kind of reaching my wit's end. And we had just watched the movie Turistas, where a bunch of kids go down to on spring break to Brazil and then get their organs harvested in the black pit.
Right.
So after she kept saying, well, in Brazil this, in Brazil that, I go, in Brazil, you get your organs harvested in the black market. She did not like that, and it didn't last more than another week. So.
Jeepers.
I think it did myself a favor.
I think what happens is in some cultures, I'm not gonna speak badly of you, but I think what happens is I'm a big believer that depending on how you mix cultures, normally one culture will try to supersede the other one, and there's some mixes where one wants to take over. I think American men, for the most part, if they were to try to get a Latin woman, the Latin woman wants to influence the American guy more than vice versa. Like, for example, I'm going to say something really controversial, but I think men like Mark, I'm not saying Kyle did this, but I think men like Mark, when they pursue like a woman from Philippines, they're looking not only for a younger wife, but they're looking for women that are more submissive and they're more willing to bend towards the man. Latin girls aren't like that. You're not going to date Carolina and really impose yourself on them. Now, that said, when I date, for example, when I dated Latin American girls, or when I dated Carolina, I don't go in as the gringo. They usually know me as the Argentinian guy. And in Argentinian culture, usually that is the more dominant culture between a couple. So sometimes when you're dating a Latin girl and she sees a certain culture, she's going to be more submissive to that culture. But I think when you have a Brazilian and mix it with a gringo, she's going to want to convert you to as much Brazilian stuff as she wants to. Now that's my opinion. I'm sure people have had different experiences, but that's kind of the tendency that I've seen.
Well, we see that a lot with Jason and Cassia, and we saw that you were hanging out with Jason and Cassia there from season 2. Have you guys become friends, or was that the first time you met?
I've talked to him over the phone, and I've talked on Facebook. He's not the only cast member that I've spoken to. That said, I wouldn't consider him as a friend. I consider him as an acquaintance. He told me a few weeks ago that he was coming down to Miami for a cruise. I don't know what happened with the cruise that was canceled. And then he said he was going to vacation in Miami for a few days. He was coming down for his birthday. And I told him, hey, listen, when you're down here, we can have lunch. We can have dinner. That went to for him to tag along for us with us at the Keys. What happened was, I told him, I said, listen, I've been meaning to take Carolina down to the Keys, the Florida Keys. If you'd like, you can come along with us and hang out with us. We were going to spend Thursday and Friday together in the Keys. He missed his flight. He got a $39 flight from Spirit, which he was so proud of getting his cheap flight. And he missed it, so he was driving down, and so he ended up catching up to us on Thursday night. We were down in Key West, and then we spent Friday together. All four of us.
Did you guys have fun?
Yeah, I had fun with Carolina. Cassie's really sweet. She's a very nice girl. I liked her. Jason's a nice guy. He's just he's at the very least mildly annoying, and he can be obnoxious at times. He has a tendency to speak in quotes from movies and just imitate movie characters or TV characters, and I found that kind of a little bit. Well, I found it disturbing, a little bit annoying.
Just get him drunk.
So at the end of this, I shouldn't say "Hasta la vista, baby."
Right. I mean, look. If you do it once, it's okay. If you have a good imitation of Rain Man, that's great. But when his imitation of Rain Man is really bad, then that's not that funny. So if you,
it's also like 20+ years dated at this point.
Right. It just
definitely dated.
It was everything. It was just like he just nonstop. It was just too many uses of references in movies and TVs, and then Cassia just let me know that he was. I asked Cassia if that was that his normal self, and she said yes. This annoying version of Jason was.
That's why she loves him.
Well, let's move on to the next. Let's move on to the next question.
Well, moving on to another cast member, and we've said it before. We don't like to be mean. Maybe we'll bust balls. We'll give people a hard time, but there's never mean. But that said, Mark seems kind of like a wackadoodle this season. And I don't know how much, if you had any interaction with him at all. I mean, is that accurate? Was he being manipulated through the editing, or is he just kind of an odd guy?
I think he's an odd guy. I will say I did hang out with him in New York. I'll say this: he was very generous to the cast members. He paid for drinks and some food. On one of the nights that we were there in New York, he was very generous. I returned the favor a little bit afterwards, but it wasn't even the same quality. I think he paid like a few $100 bill, I think it was like $300 bill that he paid, and I think later in the night I just paid a $60 bill for him. So that was a good quality. He's generous. I don't think he's trying to show off. I think he looks like he's genuinely a generous type of guy.
Yeah, but from what he said at the tell-all special there was that if he was bringing you to places like that, he expects you to like put out. It sounded like, I bring these women to these 5-star cuisines and bring them flowers and have great conversation. So that was kind of weird.
Listen, all I had, I think I forget what Carolina had. I think Carolina just had a glass of wine. I think I had maybe like a screwdriver, and I ate some focaccia. We were at an Italian restaurant, so maybe if it was a lobster and steak dinner, maybe I would have had to put out for Mark. maybe a happy ending, but it wasn't that much, you know. And it was multiple. It was a few cast members, so it wasn't just me. So.
And you know what? You're too old, and you're not Filipino. So
right. I'm I don't have that figure that he's looking for. I don't think I look old, but obviously I'm not a teenager. So
does that also
maybe Carolina's not young enough, you know?
She's old now.
Yeah, she's old.
Does the whole Nikki thing seem legit to you? I mean, are they really in love, or it just seems so awkward?
And I'm gonna call it a happy arrangement. How about that?
Okay.
I'm gonna call it an arrangement that they're both happy with.
Yeah.
We can leave it at that.
Yeah, I don't look at it as a traditional marriage or a traditional love. And if people are basing it on what their idea of marriage and love is, then that's not them. But I think that they're not. I don't think she's like she's been kidnapped or under his. I think she's having fun. I think she's happy with the situation. I've never been to Cebu, Philippines. Maybe this is a fantastic situation for her. You know, I've never been to Maryland either. I don't know. I can't compare and contrast.
Well, that's where Elaine's from, so she can probably talk about
Gaithersburg,
really?
Maryland. Shout out. Yeah.
Really, from Baltimore? Okay, I've only driven through the state. I've never really stayed in the state. So.
And for good reason.
I will say this: he's affable. He's a bit articulate. The only thing is, I think he just rambles on and on and on without a point. I warned him at the tell-all, but I said to him, you're saying too much stuff. They're going to make you look bad.
Oh yeah.
You over talk.
You filibuster sometimes.
Yeah, I did. I will say this in his favor. I was kind of bad to him in the tell-all. I confronted him a few times. I asked him how old Nikki was when he met her. I also said to him in the tell-all, I said, Mark, people love to hate you. You're a very hateable guy. I go, you should find a way to profit from all this hate directed to you. And I think for a minute there he was trying to figure out if that was an insult or a compliment. And but afterwards he took it pretty well. Like he didn't, he shook hands. He said, he wanted to meet up for drinks afterwards. So I think he takes criticism well.
Interesting. Well, how about your thoughts? Your thoughts on like the other cast members, Kyle and Noon?
Kyle and Noon are my favorite. I really like them. I think they have a really good connection. I think they're very in love. Noon is a very sweet girl. Like I honestly, I think Kyle and me are the luckiest guys of season 3. I think the two best women of season 3 are Carolina and Noon.
Definitely.
I saw Noon. In fact, I saw Noon and Carolina liked her a lot. And I asked Carolina, can we go to Thailand and bring a Noon over? Can we add Noon and maybe be on Sister Wives? So I definitely liked her. I was impressed by Josh. I think Josh was really misinterpreted in the show. I found him to be very educated, very articulate, very smart.
Because I felt that Alexandra was
Yeah.
not in a good spot there. From what we saw on the show, like they were making her change and making her feel like a bad person. Is how I saw the situation come off on the show. Is that not how it is in real life? It's much different.
I think they try to make too much of the whole Mormon thing, and I get it. I mean, listen. I've never met a bad Mormon. I've actually had interacted with a few Mormons, and I like them. I think they're nice people. But it's like the South Park episode. They're super freaking nice, but they're nutty, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So the whole, was it Joseph Smith and the golden tablets and Moroni, right? The angel Moroni. I mean,
they're all crazy. That one's just
they're all crazy, but they're super nice people. It's like
religion. To me, all religions kind of crazy, but that one's newer. So
it's a little bit extreme.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a little extreme, and it's like an American fiction. It's like I take it as like I even took a history class about that period in America. There was like a period where people were doing all kinds of nutty religions, and but they're really nice people. So I don't want to speak that ill of them, and I'm not even worried they're going to knock on my door because I live in a closed neighborhood, so I don't think they're going to be able to knock on my door.
I look at it this way. I'm actually agnostic, so people could judge me because of that. So I try not to judge other people. It's live and let live. Believe what you want, and people who believe lots of different things can all be nice. And I think that's what you have to focus on. It's the most important
definitely.
thing.
But
I respect agnostics.
Yeah.
And I respect Mormons. Like I said, I met some nice people. Look, Caroline and I consider ourselves Buddhist Catholics.
Oh wow.
We're Roman Catholic by tradition and by birth and baptism and communion, but we do like Buddhism. So we plan to probably teach our kids to be Catholic and by tradition and be Buddhist by philosophy.
Yeah, I've read the teachings of Buddha, and out of all of them, it actually I think does to a certain degree make the most sense. If you ask me.
Right. I've thought that Buddhism is the best thing to incorporate to become a better Catholic, or I actually think a lot of religions could incorporate Buddhism to become a better person. So. I'm respectful of different religions because, again, I know my taste in religion are a little different. So,
well, that's
and like every good Catholic, I'm not a good Catholic. So we love to dabble in sinful things. So we're definitely not good practicing Catholics.
But I think we're kind of missing the one thing that all Alexandra wanted to do was dance. She just wanted to dance.
She does. She wants. I don't even know how to interpret it. In fact, did you notice that I asked in the tell-all? I asked her about if Josh wasn't really changing her, that she was changing Josh, and I also asked the question whether if the name of the baby was going to have a Russian name, was it going to be Dmitri or Ivan, or was it going to have it was going to be like a Mormon name, like Jeremiah or Jed or something like that. And she blew me away because she said, I want to give it a Portuguese name.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, a Portuguese name? I said, what do you mean by that? She goes, because I love samba and I want to teach my baby to dance samba.
Aww.
So,
she's adorable.
I love her.
Great.
She is adorable. She's a party girl. Like I've made a joke on social media that old Fernando would love to have dated old Alexandra. Like, why change that? What? You got a Russian girl that likes to drink and dance? Why would you want to change that?
Perfect. I think current Jesse likes old Alexandra.
Yeah. It's like, and she's really high on education. She wants to get a degree. She wants to get a master's degree. I think her parents have been really pushing education. I think that's what connected them together. Education was what got them interested together. Yeah, I think it's really fun, and I think that's a real couple. I think they have a long life together.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Aww.
I think eventually Josh will be dancing samba.
He'll be dancing. I don't know what it is. It'll be dancing though.
Well, so I can't really make fun of that because I'm not a very good dancer. So I'm a horrible dancer. So me and Josh are probably in the same boat in that sense.
We'll let you slide, but it was reported a few days ago. I don't know if you heard about this, that Danielle and Mohammed from season 2 split up.
Really? I read the report, but honestly, you guys think that they split up a couple days ago? Because I think they split up. I think they split up when they got to the airport in New York. Where did he fly into? New York or Philadelphia? Where did he fly in?
Where are they from? Cleveland, maybe, or Cincinnati airport? They're from
Sandusky.
Yeah.
I don't. Did they even
Like,
have an airport? Yeah.
I don't know
I'm not
who want to be.
sure.
Yeah, I don't. I really think. I honestly, listen. I don't want to. I've never wanted to bash them because I feel bad for Danielle, but I think it's been a scam from the beginning. I can't believe they were approved. I think Danielle was. I think he won the lottery with Danielle because Danielle was the one that first submitted the papers. So I'm sure there would have been other. I believe that Mohammed was probably speaking to 3 or 4 women at least, and Danielle was the first one to submit the papers, and that was it. So, or maybe the first one went to visit him so they can do the physical contact. So
people have asked us, why don't you hit them more? Why don't you meaner to them? And we say, they've been very friendly to us, and we go up there and we let them tell their story. And this isn't hardball. I'm not going to be giving them the 5th degree or 4th degree or anything. So we can only go with what they tell us. And we consider them friends of the podcast just like we consider you now. So we're not going to be mean to people just to get the better story.
To get ratings, yeah.
Not to mention, really, people have to explain. People have to be explained what I'm saying or what anybody's saying about them. I mean, if you don't see it, how are you that blind?
Well,
I feel really bad. I feel really bad that she's believing this stuff.
But my issue now, though, is if they are in fact getting a divorce, you know this better than we do in terms of what's the time period between when you get married and when you actually can file for divorce before you have to actually go back to your home country.
Well, after he got his green card, he has 2 years to file. I think it's a 751, the I-751, which is a bona fide marriage. You have to show that you're in a continuing relationship, and that's when it changes your residency card from temporary to permanent. And if he doesn't get that, then his card will expire.
Okay.
Have like a year and a half from now. So,
okay, so it's from the time you get your green card.
He's really lucky. Obama's still president until January 20th of 17. So he'll be okay until then. And then hopefully he understands enough about politics that he's praying for Hillary to win and not Donald Trump.
Wow.
If it's Donald Trump, he's probably on some list to be deported. But,
he's out the door. Yeah, definitely.
He's out the door. So I guess it depends on who gets elected next year.
Interesting. Well,
to me, I'm insulted. I'm insulted because if I spent years with Carolina, and I lived with her, and I developed a relationship with my in-laws, and we traveled together, we went to different countries together, and Carolina was a lot more than acceptable to me, and we actually had physical contact that was public. I can't believe that I had to wait 10 months for visa approval, and I'm still waiting for the green card, and then this guy has his green card already. So
yeah,
that to me is that part is unacceptable to me.
It's staggering, definitely. Well, I think a lot of people feel that.
That's a slap in the face.
Definitely. I think a lot of people feel the same sentiments that you do. But before we go, is there anything else you want to get off your chest or let the 90 Day Fiancé fans know?
Any gossip?
Gossip? No. I mean, I think I've given enough, right? I've said some.
You've given more than enough, I think.
Down and dirty.
Yeah, no. I just wish they would tell more of a story. You don't get to find out their educational level. It really bothered me that we were forced to speak so much English. They wanted us to do most of the conversation in English, which I didn't like that. They try to make it look like Carolina would have a hard time in Miami. I mean, really? A Colombian girl have a hard time in Miami?
I know.
And
I love it.
Nobody speaks Spanish there, right?
I love those photos, by the way.
Technically, Miami is part of the United States, but honestly, if anybody's ever been to Miami, it's not really the United States. It's just a place that they allow you to come in here without a passport and let you leave without a passport. But this is not part of the United States because this is I have a hard time. I speak languages, so I'm literate and fluent in 3 languages. I have a broken French. I think I heard that Elaine speaks French, correct?
Yep. Oui, je parle
français.
français.
Je l'ai compris, je l'ai lu, parce que je l'ai appris dans la lycée. non avec ne sont pas pas. So,
Oui. Oui.
le français. So it was sad for me that we had to make it look like we were going to force her to speak English. And in a city, you know, like, for example, I live in Doral, Florida. They call Doral Suela. The reason they call it Doral Suela is because there's so many Venezuelans that that's the nickname for the city. Like, you know, we're surrounded by places that sell arepas. They made it look like we weren't going to be able to find an arepa in Miami. So, in a house, like, do they really think that my mom speaks English with that accent all the time at home? I mean, no, that's not the case. So I think that there was things that were done in the show that made it look like Carolina was having a hard time.
Yeah.
And it's not the case. So.
Well, Fernando, I have to say it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and we're really happy to have you considered a friend of the podcast now, and hope that maybe next season, if we check back in to see your thoughts on the next lucky people to be on the show.
Well, I imagine you're going to have me on because I'm sure that if you speak to some of the cast members, maybe they'll attack me. Maybe Jason or Danielle will get upset about my comments. So.
Oh no, I'm sure they'll
give me a chance to reply. So
we can get you guys mad at each other, then we can get you all on one podcast and just have you all reconciled. It's perfect. It's like script writing 101.
There's only a few I don't like. But I had Jason over for dinner in my house, and there's some open invitations to another 4 or 5 couples, and I think that at least I have confirmed a couple of couples that are coming to my house for dinner. So there might be news to talk about in a few months.
I think you have to be periscoping that now so we can all watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you didn't ask me about Melanie DeVar. I really like Melanie DeVar, by the way.
I was not feeling them either from the preview, and I came to really enjoy both of them and think they both seem pretty genuine and very nice.
Definitely.
DeVar is usually not very serious. He makes jokes about everything, and I appreciate it because he's very similar to me. Carolina said that DeVar looked like we're brothers with a different mother because of our humor. I groped DeVar in New York.
How could you not look at that body?
I know. I think he's the really delicious one. It's DeVar. So I had my hands all over him. So really like Melanie. Melanie was awesome. I really like my cast. I feel really bad for Lauren. She gets attacked a lot, and I really liked her. She is a drama queen, and she does fit some of the things that people are complaining about it, but she's just super nice. Super nice. And Alexi is a great guy. Like if Lauren was my daughter and she brought over Alexi, I'd be happy with him as a son-in-law.
That's good to hear. There wasn't a lot of positive things coming out of last season, I don't think. So it's nice to hear that a majority of these are pretty positive.
Yeah, I think they did a good job. You know, and look, honestly, let's go back to Mark. Honestly, you know, if people want to judge it on their perspectives, and I understand it, and there's a lot of things to complain about it, but if they're, I'll even use one of the things that Mark said. If they're both adults and that's what they want to do, and they're willing to make that arrangement, and they're happy with it, I don't know who we are to say that shouldn't be allowed. So is it strange? I think it's strange. Is it awkward? It's awkward. But I think it works for them.
Why do I get the sense there's going to be a lot of this posted on Starcasm in the next couple of days?
Oh, really?
Fernando bashes now.
Yeah, they always pick up on our stuff. But
no, and what you're always going to get from me is that I'm really open. Have you noticed I own anything negative about myself or us, the couple, and I'll call it like it is about the other couples. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I mean, obviously there's things that I know about couples that I'm not going to share just because I like them, and there's things that I've learned from couples that I just think it's not appropriate to share it. I will say this: there's some couples that have been hurt by editing, and there's some couples that have been helped by editing.
That's interesting.
There's couples that probably would look a lot worse if things weren't cut out. Let's just leave it at that. You want to say hello to Carolina?
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Es el show, un show de radio. Just say hi.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
She's leaving. She's running away from me. Hold on.
Muy bonita.
Hold on. Es un show de radio, son dos personas. Están grabando. Espera, here. No, hold on. Girl, hold on, I'm gonna pass her.
Hi.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, bien, ¿y tú?
I don't speak enough English. I took 5 years of Spanish, and the most I can say is like, "Where's the library?" And I have to go to the bathroom.
¿Dónde está el biblioteca?
Yeah.
I don't know why she's so shy. You know, she's the one who wanted to be on the show. We weren't we didn't apply to be on the show, by the way. Did you know that?
No.
We didn't write for the show. They found us.
Oh, really?
And yeah. And she's the one that was super excited. It would tell me, "Did you write to him? Did you answer him? Did you call him? Oh, we're gonna get on." So, and now that this is all over, now she doesn't like the show, and she doesn't like when people stop us in the street. So
Aww, she's
it's really
bashful.
sad. She's the one who wanted to be on it, and now I'm the one who's like dealing with you know, people like Bring Your Torch and other shows, and she runs away from it. So she was away from me because she was hanging out with my mom, actually.
Cool.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
Awesome.
it's things you don't get from the show.
I honestly, you know, what people would be very surprised is the only reason my mom was shown a lot because of how she acts, and my dad doesn't speak, you know, English well. And what's funny is what's crazy about all this is that I don't actually get along with my mom. The reason I accept my parents living in this house is because I really love my dad, and I'm really close to my dad. So my mom worries that when my dad passes away, she will have to find other living quarters. And I don't get along with my mom. Yeah, so I don't get along well with my mom. We don't have a really good relationship. That unbelievably, she has a great relationship with my mom now. They actually get along well. They go shopping. I went yesterday. I take Carolina yesterday to a holiday party for this insurance agency that I work with, and it was at this big mall here in Miami called Dolphin Mall, and we were at Dave & Buster's, and she was loving it. She was having a great time, and we were walking around the mall, and I guess I was being impatient with her because we go someplace and she was buying a cream, and she goes, "Well, I won't buy it today." And I said, "Well, buy it today because when are you going to come back? I'm not going to come back to the mall just to get this cream." And she said, "Oh, if you don't have patience for me, don't worry about it. I'll just come with your mom, and we can spend hours at the mall." So what's nuts is that I don't want to spend time with my mom, and she's spending time with my mom on a regular basis.
That's perfect. What a great setup.
Yeah, she did her nails earlier today, and they talk a lot. They like to gossip with each other, and they like going shopping together. So Carolina has taken my mother out for lunch 4 times in the past 4 months.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I really don't get it. I don't get it, but they get along. They seem to understand each other. So
that's awesome.
Very strange.
Now that you've listened to our interview, you can go to our website at www.bringmeyourtorch.com. But where else can you go?
Facebook.com/bringmeyourtorch or Twitter.com/bringmeyourtorch without the H.
No H.
And you can find us on iHeartRadio now, which I'm really excited about.
iHeartRadio, and you can find us on iTunes and on Stitcher, on Blueberry, and on YouTube. You can go to those things and give us a review. You can follow us so our numbers go up. You can make us money, pennies. Lots of pennies on YouTube.
I'm suing you over that, too. I got the lawsuit already.
Yeah, we'll see. And the most important thing you can do, though, however, is remember that you may have come here as a stranger, but you're leaving as a friend. We'll see you next time on Bring Me Your Torch.
Bye.